Vegas, founder of the Word 66 band, Steve Scott. Welcome to the show, Steve. Thank you for
Hey,
being here.
thanks, Guido. Thanks for having me on. It's much
Hey,
appreciated.
no, man, like I've been looking forward to this. I know we've exchanged some emails and I heard some of your music and you got me excited. And I thought, well, if I'm excited about this, I think other people are going to get excited about it and learn a little bit more about the word and let's, check it out. So, Steve, look, let's start out with something here.
Okay.
I gave you the Las Vegas intro. The elephant in the room. Are you a Las Vegas Knights hockey fan? Or
Of
or
course.
you are?
Well, of course. I'll be honest, man. I don't watch a lot of hockey because I don't have
Yeah.
that station. So, but I know they just beat the Panthers and they are the official Stanley Cup winners, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Is Vegas like in total Knights fever or what's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of Knights fans in here for sure, and
Yeah.
definitely a lot of people, especially some women that are really not into sports, have become sports fans mainly because of the Knights.
Isn't that interesting? Now, you said something interesting. You said, "Well, I don't have that channel." And so I heard or like because I do a bit of a sports show as well.
Okay,
Um one of the things that fans were saying online was availability. And it seems like the game wasn't available in different regions of the United States, which has contributed to it being one of the lowest viewed playoff series um, since 2007. And I was
really?
scratching my head going, what do you mean it's not available? I get TV deals or channels or whatever like that. It's just not on a common channel, I guess is what it is, right?
You probably have to purchase the channel to get the games.
Right.
Um, to be honest with you, I mean, I do it with baseball and I do it with football,
Yeah.
but not so much with hockey.
Interesting. Interesting. I get interested by the dynamic between the United States and Canada and the fans, right? It is not the number one sport, I think, in the US. It's behind the baseball, behind the football, behind the basketball still, eh? Yeah.
I would believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
football is
So
probably number one, right? I would think.
are you number one with football? Is that
I
is
love
that your
football. I'm a
yeah.
big
Who's
football fan.
who's your football team?
Giants.
Why? I know. We're gonna get to it, right?
Okay.
Um, so no, we're here. Like, so I was gonna say to you, are you homegrown? And now I'm suspicious because you like the Giants, but you're in Vegas, so you're not an original Vegas guy, right?
I am not an original Vegas guy. No. However, I
Yeah.
have been here for 22 years now.
Oh,
So I am almost an original.
you're that's it. You've converted. There's
Yeah.
there's no yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because there every once in a while people will talk about, natives in Vegas, and I actually ran into an actual Vegas native just a couple of days ago. And because there's not very many of them, it's kind of like one of those fairy tale kind of things, you hear about it, but you
Yeah.
never actually see it kind of thing. And I actually ran into this person. I said, okay, I said, listen, I'm going to touch you. And I actually touched him and said, okay, I just wanted to touch you because you are an original Las Vegan.
you you've been touched by an original.
Yeah,
Oh, geez, that's funny. Well,
they were
yeah,
laughing.
I didn't know what the cutoff is. After X number of years, do you officially become, an official resident of another place now? What made you go to Vegas? Like, what'd you pick Vegas for?
I was actually living in Seattle before I moved here.
Okay.
And Seattle's a cool town, but it rains, man. I mean, every day, man. I mean, every single day after day after day. And it's doomy and gloomy out if it's not raining. And it's really hard to make plans and stuff too. So, from what I understand, you know, um, Seattle's like the biggest place for suicides
Oh, well,
because it's so doomy and gloomy every day, and I
yeah.
didn't want to become a statistic because things weren't going so great in my life at that point in time, and I was trying to find a place with some sunshine.
Yeah.
And also at that point in time, I was more of a 24-hour kind of guy.
Okay. All right.
So I was always up really super late and always out doing things and
Yeah.
stuff late. So being that it was a 24-hour town, I thought it would be a good move.
And Vegas fits that scenario then, right, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, not as much as it did before. I mean, some of the things that were 24 hours are not anymore.
Have you seen a big change in Vegas then since you're like, because you've got 20 years there, right? So have you seen a big change?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's been quite a few hotels that have gone up since I've been here. As far as building goes, there's not a lot of empty space anymore.
Oh,
you know. So all the places that you would drive by and there'd just be vacant, there'd be nothing there and stuff like that. Now there's buildings there. Now there's an In-N-Out burger, or there's, whatever, kind of thing there. Um, so yeah, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So it's not like it's really a huge little town.
and it's become a bit of it's become a bit of a music pocket as well, right? There's been sort of a migration from Los Angeles to Las Vegas for some musicians, and it's seemingly starting to pick up, right, in terms of entertainment and music, right?
There's definitely been a few bands that have come out of here that are pretty big,
Yeah.
a handful that I could probably name. The scene itself isn't really fantastic here in Vegas as far as, playing live and stuff like that.
There's a bit of a that explosion has happened, and you're there for it and you're witnessing it, and you've got your band. Is your band all there with you in Vegas?
Yes and no.
Okay. No problem.
Sometimes.
So
Sometimes.
let's talk about that. So the word 66 is a trio. You're on guitar. Make sure I got this right. You got Brian Torres on vocals and bass, and Lance Crane on drums. You formerly had Dave Murray as well on drums, I think. Is that
Yes, he was the
correct?
original drummer,
Right.
correct.
So where is everybody? How did everybody come together? What's going on there?
We're really expanding to a four-piece. Brian doesn't want to do the vocals and the bass,
Yeah.
which is also another reason why we have a special guest bassist on our new tracks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this was a calling for me, but I felt this is what I was supposed to do and what I needed to do. So I actually put some ads out in. Are you familiar with Craigslist?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I am.
So I actually put an ad on Craigslist for like a bassist and a drummer, and
Huh.
after going, of course, through a bunch of meatheads, eventually Dave answered the ad, and he didn't live far away from me as well. So it was great. And we got together and then we jammed, and it just seemed to work out really well. Eventually we ran into Brian, and the band was formed.
Right on. Um, Now you alluded to a guest bass player, right? You released a new single this past May. It's called "The Chosen One," and on that song, that special guest is Danny Miranda from Queen and Blue Oyster Cult, who is playing bass. The song is made its way into the top 20 indie charts on the Path Radio, right?
I
On our
saw that. Thank you so much.
yeah. So you getting some traction on that. So the song, there's great energy on the song, great vocals, great melody, just all around. I love it. It's a really rocking song and everything.
Thanks.
Uh, how did you, from Craigslisting, the other band members, land Danny Miranda to join the band for that song?
I'm originally from Long Island in New York, and Danny is from Long Island, New York as well. So we've run in the same circles at times. And it just so happens that my producer is a really good friend of Danny's.
Oh,
So he reached out to Danny and said, "Hey, we've got this project, and we'd like you to check it out and see if you'd be interested in playing the bass on it." So he loved the tracks. He's actually on 4 of the new tracks. So we got the chosen one, and he is also on Tonight is the Night, which is the previous track before this. Just to Show My Love, which is the previous track before that. And then there is another track that we haven't released too. It's called Faith is the Key. So he's on all of those tracks, and he's a great bassist, man. He's a great guy. He's a
Yeah.
great bassist, and he just brings a lot of energy to the tracks.
Now, might he be the extra piece that might stick around, or?
It's a possibility tour wise that we might hook up with him if he's available. He's a busy guy. You know,
Yeah,
he's been a Blue Oyster Cult for a really long time. So it would
yeah.
all depend on what's happening with the other bands.
Well, be interesting to see what happens. Like, so on, listen, on that song, and I kept saying, you came out with some killer rock and roll vocals. There's some really great guitar riffs on it. It just when I listened to it, everything about it was kind of screaming to me, "I am free." You know what I mean? Like, I am free, and which coincidentally is the name of another one of your songs. So,
Yes.
you drew that out of me with that, and there you go, you have a song for me to follow up that actually says I am free. But um how did you find your rock and roll identity? Like, why rock and roll? Why, and I say why rock and roll, why that sound, why rock? Is it just natural? Is it organic? What's your genre, like, through and through, or?
I'm a rocker. It's funny because when I was in the studio, Vinny, our producer, I was when we were recording one of these other tracks, I was like, I really want this track to be a little bit more mellower. I kind of wanted it to sound kind of Beatle-esque, and everything. And he just kind of looked at me and said, he says, man, he goes, you're just rock and roll. He says, that's just who you are. He says, no matter what you do, it's gonna come out rock and roll. Which I thought was pretty cool. I've always been a rocker.
Part of your DNA?
Yeah, ever since I was
Yeah.
a little kid, that's really what I listened to. So I was always into rock, and for the longest time, for many, many years, that's really all I listened to. I didn't know about any other genres and stuff.
Yeah,
And then
that's interesting.
eventually I started to learn about things. I mean, I like jazz.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, over here in Vegas last week, ended a series called Jazz in the Park.
Oh yeah.
And I got to see some great jazz artists play, and that was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Free
who was
show.
who was your rock and roll, like, growing up? Who were you listening to rock and roll wise? What was your go-to bands?
Probably Sabbath.
Wow. The Oz Man.
Yeah, I was a big Sabbath fan.
Really?
Yeah, huge Sabbath fan. I remember as a kid, I had some weird habits and stuff. And I had the turntable at the time, so I'd get the record and I put it on and I would sit on the corner of my bed and I had this little ritual. I just kind of rock to it while I was playing the music.
That's funny. So, you know what? So I'm asking about the rock, like, and why that genre. It's a lead up. I'm setting you up, a little bit of a lead up question, because look, when I introduced you, I intentionally left out a very important piece of information for our
Yes.
listeners about your
Mhm.
music genre. I did it intentionally, and I did it intentionally because I wanted people to hear you first. Where you're coming from, without any focus on any other preconceived notion of the genre of music you're playing. And people listening now are going, what is he talking about? He's playing rock and roll. You're talking rock and roll, right? But the word 66 is here I go, a Christian rock band. There.
Dum,
Oh
dum, dum,
no. Oh
dum.
no. Hopefully everybody's still listening who's like, no, what is he talking about? It
Right?
can't be. No, seriously, we're joking around here, right? Look, for anyone who didn't already know that, you're a Christian rock band. And I have a couple of part A and part B to this next question, okay?
Okay.
You've had a bit of a personal journey. Um, you say you've lost your way, you had lost your way from the church, and you had lost your love for playing music. That's huge, because the guy I got in front of me today doesn't look like a guy who's lost his love for music. Like, you're full of the love for music, and you got rich, you got the history, and you weren't listening to Christian rock, right? You're listening to Sabbath. So you lost your way, and then so what happened there, and how did you find your way back? And so that your return manifested itself in Christian rock. So is that too deep, or can we go there?
No, you can go there. I mean, how long is this interview? Is it 2 hours or 3 hours?
Hey,
Is it?
man, whatever you want.
Okay, yeah, we can. It's a long story. I'll try to make it short.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't grow up with any religion whatsoever. Eventually, I found religion, and I think that a lot of people find religion when they're kind of at the edge of their rope, kind of thing. I think a lot of people become religious when times are hard and times are tough, and when they're going through things, whether it be addiction or whatever, and things aren't really working for them at that point in time. So, and I hope people can relate to what I'm saying here, because there may be some people in that same state of mind right now where they're thinking like, hey, my life just isn't working and I don't know what to do. Um, Maybe God and Jesus is another option for you to look into. Because a lot of people at the church, they were, I hate to say this word, but a lot of them were kind of misfits of sorts. You know what I mean? So, they did things they didn't like and they weren't supposed to do, or again, got involved with addiction and did certain things. And they think that, I guess, karma in a way is coming back for them. So I suggest for those people, just look into it, um, but find a cool church. I go to like a non-denominational church, which is what I call the cool church.
Yeah.
So, there's a good rock band on in the beginning and they play like Christian contemporary music. And then the pastor comes out and he always throws funny stuff in with the sermon as well. So he lightens things up as well. And it's also like a come as you are kind of thing,
Yeah.
which means as the summertime comes, if you want to go in shorts and a t-shirt and a baseball cap and flip-flops, whatever, you are 1,000% welcome. So anyway, so there was a time in my life where things weren't really working out so well, and that's the change that I needed. So I got into religion. It just so happens I had a friend that was into it, and he brought me into this really cool church. And so I started writing music. Um, like I said, it's a long story, and then things really didn't work out back then. And then it was like, I went into the studio and I maxed out my credit cards, and recorded some stuff that I thought was going to really work for me. And we got amazing response. I mean, the record labels and management and all kinds of places where it said, "Hey, man, you guys are really good," but at that time, they said, "But we don't know what to do with you." So I was kind of cutting edge-ish. I was the vocalist at that time as well, vocalist
Yeah.
and guitarist. And my voice is it's raspy, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not spectacular. I'm really, if we're going to be honest, I'm really like a B singer, so I'm good with backups.
Yeah.
But and that's another story too. That took me a while to realize that. But yeah, I had a falling out at that point in time, and then I don't know. I just, it got to the point where I picked up my guitar every once in a blue moon kind of thing,
Mm.
just to play, just to make a little bit of noise. And I don't know. I just kind of lost my love and felt that things were never really going to happen for me at that point in time. So I just kind of put it down, and for a long time, I just stopped with the church and I stopped playing the music. And then I went through this little thing about 4 years ago,
Were you
and
were you were you can I ask something before you do, were you angry? Like when you put the guitar down and all that, were you angry and upset and like going, I've had it sort of thing? Is that
yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
wasn't the happiest
Right.
individual in the
And
world.
then 4 years.
Several years, actually, it was more
Yeah.
than 4 years.
Okay.
But about 4 years ago, I had a little incident that happened in my life, and I believe that God called me again to do this project. That he basically was telling me that, the reason why we didn't really make it on a large scale at that point in time, because I was in other bands, was because I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it for me instead of him. So that inspired me, and again, I started writing all this really cool music. A lot of it's on the first EP as well, and yeah, I felt that that's what I was supposed to do. So it's said that we all have a purpose in life, and I believe that that's what my purpose is to spread the word through the music.
And now that you're in that spot, Steve, um, I think I know the answer, but I just want to hear it. Are you concerned about being prejudged by mainstream because you're a Christian rock band in any way, or do you just let the path lead you where it leads you?
God will lead us, but yeah, I mean, it's been happening. There's a lot of stations and a lot of people that will not play the music when they find out you're a Christian band. Because we're considered a metal band, so we get played on a majority of our radio play is probably on metal stations, and some that are hardcore as well. And I think that's really cool. But a lot of those stations, they have those names, 666 rock,
Right.
and all these kind of things, and it's all about the devil. And there's a lot of people I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I find it that when I get played on a lot of those stations, I believe that I'm kind of bringing light into the darkness, or I should say, yeah, light into the darkness.
Right into the
Um,
darkness.
and again, that's probably a big reason why I've been called to do this.
So when I first heard a couple of your songs, I didn't make the connection. I didn't make the connection that you were a Christian rock band. I was like, hey, this is a really good song. I really like this, right? And
Yeah,
it just,
thanks.
it had the feel and the rhythm and all those things that I've talked about. Um, so it wasn't until I kind of went, who are these guys? I got to know a little bit more, right? Because I'm kind of digging it. And then I went, no way. Now, for me, it didn't change anything. I was just like, man, cool. Like, it's got the double thing going on here. And I say this too with this. I grew up and I enjoyed listening to Stryper. Okay. Folks know, look at, I initially had no idea that they were a Christian rock band. And when I found out, it didn't make a difference to me whatsoever then either. And some will say, yeah, but Guido, you grew up, you were Catholic, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. You were already, you're already a religious kind of kid, and whatever. Still, I say, you know what? I don't care. I enjoyed their music. Now, are you, given the path and what you're telling me, are you hoping that maybe the word 66 has that type of identity, or organically sort of crosses those rock lanes, kind of like, I'm not saying you're Stryper, but I'm saying kind of like the Stryper story a bit?
We've been compared a lot of times to Stryper, actually. Some of the articles that were written about us have had mentioned Stryper
Yeah.
as well. And it's funny too, because I think that if you mention Christian rock, I think that a lot of times that's all that people know is Stryper, because if you ask them to name a few bands, they'll go, oh, yeah, well, let's see, Stryper and,
Honestly, Stryper, right? Honestly, right? The song, honestly, right?
right.
So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I mean, we've had the ability to cross over, like I said. So we're being played on a ton of metal stations and stuff too. So and also on the Christian stations. So
yeah.
that's a great thing that we can be a crossover band. Um, we just signed. This is a long story too, but let's make it short.
Ah, whatever. Let's go. Roll it.
We had actually signed with another label recently.
Yeah.
So we were first signed with Curtain Call Records, and then our contract came up, and we didn't renew. So we were looking for some new labels. Actually had 5 deals on the table.
Wow.
And there was this one label overseas that we liked that we actually signed with. I guess I won't say the name. They've got a ton of bands on their label, and we were kind of excited about it. but things were taking, there were some red flags. Things were taking a really long time for them to get back to us. There started to be all these hidden different costs and things like that. And we were kind of, wondering if it was the right move. And so I did bring that up to the owner. And, I got to the point where I was like, because what we were going to do is we were going to take the new EP and combine it with the first EP.
Yeah.
So we would have a full LP.
Okay.
So that was the plan. And then it got to the point where I was just like, why don't we just release the new single and the new video and take it from there? And then the guy just went nuts. The guy was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not interested in this. And you've been trying to get out of this contract ever since you signed it. So I'm going to rip it up. So he just actually ripped up our contract, and which is probably a blessing. Yeah. So yeah. And that was a pretty hardcore label, actually.
Hmm.
Signing with a Christian label is a bit difficult because there's slim pickings. There's not a lot of Christian labels out there, and the ones that you do know about, those are major labels. So we were supposed to release this music quite a while ago. Actually, it's kind of sitting
Right.
for a while. And I just wanted to at least release another single and the video just so people know that we're still out there.
Now, did you find your way to one of the other labels, or you're just kind of searching things out now? Searching things out.
Yeah, we're thinking about it. It's kind of, I'm not really sure how much better those other labels are going to be. So we're kind of, and not to knock the labels. I mean, it's just that, I don't know, some of these guys, maybe they have too many bands that they work with, and maybe they just don't have the time and the resources to make things happen. And they wind up signing too many bands, and a lot of them kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think, like, for me, and something I've learned over the last few years kind of doing this stuff is when we talk labels, and I talk with artists, it's that label industry has changed from what it was, 25, 30 years ago. There is a relationship component to this that before it was like, yeah, here's cut and dry. Look, you're going to produce X number of songs on X number of records over X number of years. Go off. Here's what your budget is. Kind of go, and here's what you're going to do. And it was, now it's a little bit more, with the advent of what you see on social media, and how videos can be more accessible to fans and whatnot. Labels have to take on a little bit of a different identity, a little bit of a different work relationship, right? And I say work, but then there's also that personal side. So I don't know, maybe some labels still haven't evolved or whatever, but it's tough out there to make sure that you do have, and that you're just not a number. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a number in a label. I'd rather almost go, is there a smaller label where I'll get the service or get that personal feeling or whatever. So, you got to take time with that stuff. I get it. Steve, I want to do a little thing here. I want to do a little game if you're up for it. A little true and false game. Because
Okay,
we're talking about Christian rock. Are you okay if we do that? You ready for true and false?
sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
I want to talk about, I'm going to give you some myths and misconceptions when it comes to Christian rock bands. And I'm going to make a statement, and then you tell me true or false. And if you want to ad lib anything in there, by all means, do it. And I'm doing this because I want folks to understand a little bit more about the genre, right? Learn a little bit more, a little bit of a learning opportunity. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
A, Christian faith can't coexist. It can't live in the secular rock world. True or false?
Fools.
Tell us about it. Why?
Yeah, well, I think we're a pretty good example of that because we, like I said, most of the radio play that we get is non-Christian. It's kind of funny too because there are some bigger Christian radio stations out there that we're having issues getting on.
So the other way around, almost, they might listen to the volume a little bit. But yeah, so if you give it a chance, it has crossed those lanes that we talked about. Okay. B, Christian rock is disdained by the church. The church doesn't like Christian rock. They only like, organ music and that sort of stuff.
That is definitely false as well. Because again, like I mentioned to you, like even the church that I go to,
Yeah.
every Sunday, they have a cool rock band that plays, music. I mean, they don't play metal or anything like that.
Right.
It's what you call Christian contemporary. So it's more of the mellower rock, but it's still rock. And there are some, hardcore Christian rock bands out there too.
Yeah. So it's welcomed. It's welcomed in the church. See, as a Christian, you're not allowed to play Christian music and also be angry or have other types of emotions like that if you're a Christian rocker. You're not allowed.
That's totally false, of course.
You get angry, Steve?
Of course I get angry. Of course. I'm human, I
Right
just
on.
I try to be the best person I can be, but it doesn't always work. When I get like 5 calls from solicitors like every day and stuff like that, I mean, I find it hard to be a good Christian because that's one of the things that drives me crazy. Because those people on the other end, they're just out to rip you off, and
Yeah.
um, it's really sad. So, yeah. So, uh, we all get angry, and again, we try to do the best that we can, and we do ask for forgiveness, for our
Yeah.
sins and
Absolutely.
for acting the way we act. But hopefully, God hears us and forgives us you know, for acting not so Christian like
For,
sometimes.
forgiveness is key. I was thinking, when you said that, maybe you're going to be writing a song called "The Solicitors" or something, and it'll be about something like that. You heard it here first. I'm just saying, you heard it here first. Um, okay, here's another one. And so this is an interesting one. The band members always and only ever talk about Jesus when they're not playing the music. So when you're not playing music, which is your Christian music, you're always talking about Jesus every time.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
False. No, no, that is so false. That's one of the things I like to mention to people too, is, we're a Christian rock band. And again, we're Christians and we try to be the best people we can be. But again, we're normal people, or semi-normal anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just, Steve, it's the vision, right? Like, and I'm being really extreme and facetious here with some of this stuff, right? But the view of you being a Christian rock band is that you're out there holding the good book and preaching at the corners, and it is, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong if that's what you want to do as part of your faith. You want to do that, and that's your faith. Hey, go for it. But that's not, I'm saying that doesn't define you as a rock band, a Christian rock band. That's not what you're about.
I let the music do the talking.
Yeah.
So when I write the music, I always try to, of course, all the messages are always positive. That's really the only difference between us and the other bands. Because, like you mentioned, you didn't even know that we were a Christian band until you actually maybe looked at our bio and found some
Yeah.
information about us. So I don't hide the fact in my lyrics that we're Christian. There are a lot of other bands out there that kind of do, that you definitely don't know they're Christian, but I believe that that's part of my purpose, is not to hide it. I like to squeeze some scripture in a lot of times in my songs as well.
Yep.
Excuse me, um, but again, we're normal people. So when we're out there and we're hanging out with people and friends and stuff like that, I mean, the only time we really talk about religion is if somebody wants to talk about religion. You
Just
know,
like just like any other topic that they really want to talk about, and you'll talk about it.
Right. We'll talk about normal topics and stuff. If anybody, like I said, if somebody wants to talk religion, fantastic, let's do it. But otherwise, we may meet some friends for happy hour,
Right.
I'll have a beer, maybe 2 beers, maybe,
No.
maybe 3 beers even.
You're pushing the envelope now.
I know. And we'll talk about normal stuff. We'll talk about sports. We'll talk about music. We'll talk about chicks, whatever kind of thing. And it's not,
Whoa.
I know.
You're blowing the You're blowing the cover off of this one.
I'm blowing your mind.
Okay, Steve, the last one, okay?
Okay.
And you alluded a little bit to this, okay? Christian rock music is a scam driven by money, not actual beliefs.
Mostly false. But I think when it comes to the larger labels, again, the major labels,
Yeah.
let's face it, they're in it to make money. It's a business for them. So hopefully the people that are running the Christian part of it, it's more it's more to them than money that they're trying to, you know, to pass the faith on, and for people to learn lessons and to hear the music and worship. It's worship music, really. But I think for some of the major labels, it's more of a money thing for them.
I mean, let's be honest. We know that there's a certain market out there for it, right? And they play, but is it any different than any of the other markets? Is it any different than the pop market that you can generate you know a three verse pop song, and you know that it'll be eaten up because you're placating to that market. We know those things exist. I guess, when I look at it and I go, yeah, I can see where, it would fit that sort of niche or whatever. But then I look at, the genuine stuff that you're putting out, and you're going, you know what, I know the place you're playing your music from. I hear it. It's in your the way you play, it's in your lyrics, it's in your demeanor. Like, you and I spent a few minutes talking before we hit the on air button here, right? And you get the vibe. I get the vibe from you in terms of your authenticity, and you're genuine in what you're doing. You're doing it with purpose. Look, everybody needs to make a little money. I get it, but you're doing it, from a different place than those areas that you talked about there. Um, so, anyways, I'm probably agreeing with you. I'm probably agreeing with you.
For
Yeah.
me, it's like if we reach a certain level of success, and we're out there and we're touring a lot and making a good amount of money, which is I'm hoping that we will do. I plan to donate a
Yeah.
lot of the money that I make. I'm a major doggy freak,
Oh yeah.
so one of my dreams is to open up a shelter or two,
Wow.
and to save as many animals as I can. I'm also pescatarian too, so I don't eat meat. I don't eat animals.
Wow.
So, and that's a big reason too. So I'm hoping that we can get really big and make a ton of money so I can, donate a large portion of it.
That's very kind. So, see that, folks? If you can help out here, Steve is actually looking, one of your things is just giving it back, right? Giving it back and helping out in the world.
Absolutely. That's what
Fostering
it's
peace, love,
about.
and health.
Yeah.
Steve, I've said this now a number of times in our chat here. The word 66. What's its meaning? How did it become your band name? What am I when I say the word 66? What am I saying?
A lot of people don't know the fact that there's actually 66 books in the Bible. So the Bible is the word. So we thought that would be really cool to be the word 66.
So this, you guys had a chat about it and came up with it?
Yeah, we talked about it. Actually, Brian and I were going over some names for the band, and we came up with this big list of names that we were writing down, and we just got to the point where, like, so we got to the word 66 was the winner, and I love the name. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
If you know the background of the fact that there's 66 books in the Bible.
And for anybody who didn't know, now they know, and you
Yeah.
can make a connection to that. Now, I'm just curious, that list of band, potential band names that you guys made up, did any of those become any of the titles for any of your songs?
No.
Oh, could they? Might they? No.
Yeah, I mean, they could. To be honest with you, I don't even remember them
Oh.
anymore. We pretty much ripped that thing up and threw it in the garbage. So
Oh, wow. I was hoping for a scoop there. No scoop. No problem. A scoop of vanilla ice cream there in the 114-degree Las Vegas weather, right?
oh, my favorite, vanilla ice cream.
Oh, really?
I'm an ice cream freak too. Dogs
Okay.
and ice cream.
Vanilla, just vanilla, no toppings or anything, or
I like vanilla because it's so versatile. So I go through phases of the different types of ice cream that I like to have. So the phase I just got over was Chipawich, a Chipawich.
no? What's that?
So I kind of I'll buy some chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
And so I'll take one cookie and then I'll take a pile it with vanilla ice cream, and then I put the other sandwich on top of it, and then roll it in chocolate chips.
Oh my gosh.
Major sweet overload, but
I was gonna say, like, I'm just, I can, my brain just kind of converted the taste of sugar high right there.
oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but it's pretty yummy. And then I like to make homemade blizzards.
Oh, nice. How do you make a home blade? You like blender them up or?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
really all you got to do. You just take the ice cream, you put it in the bowl, and you take a mixer and
yeah.
just kind of soften it up, and then you could stick some stuff in it. The favorite for me is I like to take mint chocolate chip cookies
Oh, wow.
and squish them really good and stick them
Yeah.
in there, and then you know
Swirl it up.
twirl it up, swirl it a bit, and then yeah, yummy stuff.
So you're an ice cream connoisseur, vanilla, right on. Okay, cool. Free ice cream at the next concert. No,
It's a
I'm
good
kidding.
idea.
You need a
Get
sponsor.
somebody, get
We need
somebody
a,
there that with scoops and cones and stuff like that, and give
yeah,
people some. Hey, that'd be an interesting idea.
ice cream makers out there, Nestle or somebody. You want to sponsor Steve and the band, right?
Ah, that'd be really cool. That's a
It
great
would.
idea.
Anyways.
Free ice cream cones. Yeah, I like that.
So, look, can you tell us what's next? What's next for the Word 66 in terms of, are you doing more music? Are you gonna tour some of the music? You doing some shows? Anything if folks are looking for you? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get out and do some tours. Some small tours.
Yeah.
I really don't want to go out for long periods of time. Um, so maybe like a couple weeks at a time. We have a really good following overseas, so I'd like to definitely go overseas in some different places. We've got a great following in Brazil and in Italy
Oh
and
wow. Right on.
Germany, all those kind of places. So that would be really cool to go there and play some shows.
And
Yeah,
are you gonna announce it? Like, are you gonna, I know you have a website, theword66.com. Are you
correct.
gonna announce it through that or other channels or?
Yeah, definitely through that and through all the socials.
Okay.
And we do want to get back in the studio soon. We've got a lot of really cool tracks to record.
Right
So
on. So
what
new
people are hearing from us now, that's just the beginning. There's a lot of stuff that's really, really cool and different that I'm excited to record. And I think that people will really dig it.
and when's that or what's the projection on that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. So we're kind of taking it a day at a time. So the next single that we're probably going to release. So if we don't get the album, if we don't sign with another record label and
Yeah.
release the full CD, we'll probably release another single shortly. And that's actually going to be a ballad.
Oh, nice. Right on.
So we're kind of diverse in some of the music that we write. So it's a ballad with acoustic guitar, cello, and vocals.
Looking forward to hearing the ballad then. Yeah, that'll be a nice switch up a little bit there, eh?
Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful song. And Brian, the vocalist, does an amazing job on it. And we're really excited to see how people greet it.
You ever gonna bring in like a massive church choir or anything like that? Or
While we were recording the track, the our producer was like, so we had the cello player and he
yeah.
was like, we should bring in like a full string section and this would really take it over the top.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, being that all the money's coming out of my pocket,
We're not bringing in a large string section.
we're not. We're bringing it. We'll have a cello player, and that's gonna do it.
You know what, man? 10 years down the road, when you do the next revamp of them, then you'll bring in everybody, because by then, you'll have hit some serious markets. Look, is there a difference playing for a Christian audience versus a mainstream audience? Do you have a preference?
There's definitely a difference. The Christian market, when you do churches and things like that, how do you say that they're very well behaved? So there's no drinking, there's no smoking, everybody is just high on Jesus. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that people are there to worship. It's
Right.
worship music, and it's a different experience. It's really cool.
Does it change you? Does it change the way you play or interact with the audience at all, or
A
a little
little
bit?
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the whole place is filled with the Holy Spirit, so to speak. And it's 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 an amazing experience. But again, when you play for people in the non-Christian market, I mean,
Yeah.
of course they're wild, they're crazy, they're having
Mhm.
fun, they're moshing, they're doing all kinds of stuff, and they're rowdy, and that's pretty cool too. So, but when you do those kind of gigs, you don't really preach a whole lot.
You just play.
You play, and yeah, you don't really, you're not really going to get into religion um, when you're doing those kind of gigs, because those people, I don't know.
They're not. I get it. They might not be interested in the preamble or the story leading up to the song. They just want to hear the song and kind of go with that.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and probably getting hit in the head with a bottle probably doesn't
Yeah.
tickle, I would think.
No.
You know, somebody
No.
throwing stuff at you.
No. Hey, you mentioned earlier, you like to work in a passage in your songs or whatever. Do you have a favorite passage that you're willing to share with us, and why it's your favorite that you've done that with?
It's not one that's in the song, but my favorite passage is from Proverbs 3, 5, 6, and it's just trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Hmm. Why is it your favorite?
This is basically sums up the Bible. That's what the Bible's about. You have to trust in God wholeheartedly and 100%. And that's the way you're supposed to live your life.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
Look, you
my
mentioned
pleasure.
you have a website and you have socials and all that. What's your main thing? Like, if you want folks to connect with you or reach out to you, or what's the main way to do it? Like, and I know everybody's got their favorite. Some folks are on Instagram, or some folks are on Facebook or whatever. Like, do you have a favorite go to that? Yeah, go there, and we're more accessible than the others.
The website, of course, is like you said, the
Mm,
word 66.com. There we have, a bunch of stuff about the band and some things. And that passage is actually on there as well that I just mentioned. You can get a hold of us through there. Or of course, your Facebook and your Instagram and your Twitter. It's fine to get in contact with us through there as well.
right on. Okay, well, we'll throw those into the show notes, and for folks to do that. Thank you for doing this, Steve. Is there anything that else that you'd like to leave us with before you get rocking and rolling and going?
The main thing I'd like to mention is, like you said earlier about, you were listening to the music and you didn't know that we were a Christian band and you were digging the tunes. So that's cool. So if you're going to check us out and you're not familiar with us, just please listen to us with an open mind. You know, um, there's no doorway involved to anything if you listen to our music. It's not a sin to listen to Christian music. Like if you're Jewish or something and you feel like you can't listen to Christian music, that is baloney. Don't worry about it. It's um we always have a message. So the only difference between us, like I said, and the other bands that you may listen to, is that we always have a positive message. We don't try to talk about things that are a bummer, you know, things that bring people down. So we always have a positive message to let you know that you're not alone in this world and that you can always change. There's always time to change. And for some people out there, you may be due for a change. As I mentioned earlier, maybe some things in your life aren't really working out and you just don't know where else to go and where else to turn. Give it a shot, you know?
With a positive message for everyone. I give thanks to you, guitarist Steve Scott from the Christian rock band The Word 66, along with bandmates Brian Torres on vocals and bass and Lance Crane on drums. You can hear their new single, The Chosen One, featuring Danny Miranda on bass on thepathradio.com. I will have all of the contact information in our show notes. Steve, keep on rocking, and thanks for doing this with me.
Thanks, Guido. I really appreciate it. Had a great time.
Peace out.
Take care, guys.